The lunchtime news now on BBC One with Ben Brown.
Hello, good afternoon. 179 people have been killed in a plane crash in South Korea after it was forced to make an emergency landing. 2 people, thought to be the flight crew, have been rescued from the wreckage and they are now being treated in hospital. Well, the crash happened at Muan International Airport on the west coast of the country. The latest now from our correspondent Jean Mackenzie, and I should warn you there are some distressing images in her report from the start.
This, the terrifying moment the plane lands at speed, without its landing gear down, and careers down the runway, unable to stop before crashing into the perimeter wall. It explodes, instantly engulfed by flames and thick smoke. None of the passengers stood a chance of surviving, the fire service told their families, as their bodies were slowly recovered. Only the 2 air stewards at the back made it off alive and to hospital. We're at the perimeter of the airport now, and this fence behind us and wall is what the plane crashed into when it overshot the runway. And just behind me you can see the blackened, charred tail of the plane sticking up. Now this is the only part of the aircraft that is still intact. The rest has been so fractured and splintered that the fire service have said that it's unidentifiable. Inside the airport terminal, the families gathered to hear the terrible news. This is now a room full of incomprehensible heartbreak as they wait for the bodies to be identified. For Mr. Mang, it was the first time his great-nephews had ever been abroad. They'd gone to celebrate the youngest taking his college entrance exams, he tells me. Their father took them. The boys were so smart and he wanted to treat them. I can't believe the entire family has just disappeared. My heart aches so much. The head of the airline has expressed his deep regret. This is the first fatal crash in his budget carrier's 20-year history.
I want to give my sincere apology and condolences to those who've lost their lives in the accident and their families. At the moment, it's hard to presume the cause of the accident, and we have to wait for the official investigation result from the authorities.
It's thought the pilot couldn't activate the plane's landing gear. Initial reports suggest a bird might have caused a fire in one of the engines. As the sun set, forensic teams were still searching the surrounding fields, while fire crews and engineers surveyed the little that's left of the wreckage, hoping to answer the many, many questions for a crash that's yet to make sense.
And Jean can join us live now from the airport where the crash happened. Jean, the emergency service is still working at the scene.
Yeah, that's right, Ben, and you might be able to make out perhaps just in the distance behind us there, that's the damaged tail of the plane. And we've just heard in the last couple of minutes that both the black box recorders have now been recovered and all the bodies have now been recovered. So that is 179 people in total. That is everybody who was on this flight, apart from the 2 flight crew who were rescued. And just because the bodies have been retrieved, though, that doesn't mean that they will be identified. This process is taking a lot longer. And that is very painful for the families who are all waiting up in the terminal building at the moment. They know their loved ones were on that plane, but they need that confirmation. We've spent the past couple of hours up there, and every so often somebody will get up and read out a few more names, and there will be this eruption of pain and heartache. This is the deadliest plane crash that has ever happened here in South Korea. And this evening, the president has come out and said that there is now going to be this 7-day period of national mourning.
OK, Jean, thank you very much indeed. Jean Mackenzie reporting there. The president of Azerbaijan has said that the plane which crashed last week, killing 38 people, was shot at from Russian territory, and he's calling on the Kremlin to admit responsibility. Yesterday, the Russian leader Vladimir Putin did apologise over the downing of the Azerbaijan Airlines plane, which he called a tragic incident, but he stopped short of saying that Russia was responsible. 3 people have died off the coast of France after trying to cross the channel in small boats. 45 others have been rescued. It happened off the coast near Sangatte, and our correspondent Francis Reid can join me now with the latest. Francis, what other details do we have?
Well, the government department in France that deals with maritime affairs said this happened at around 6 a.m. local time, so that's about 5 a.m. local time this morning, UK time this morning. It said that the Coast Guard managed to rescue 45 people who were then given medical help, including treatment for hypothermia, but that 3 people were found unconscious and died. In the past few days, more than 1,400 people have arrived in the UK in small boats, hundreds a day over the Christmas period, and more than 450 on Christmas Day alone. There have been exceptionally calm conditions at sea, which means it's seen as more favourable for people wanting to make that crossing, and that's despite the really foggy conditions that we've seen in the UK. The latest stats show more than 36,000 people have arrived in the UK in small boats this year. That's up 24% on the year before. The Channel, of course, is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, more than 600 ships passing through it a day. So dangerous even when the sea seems calm. But the UK Home Office said it's aware of what's happened this morning.
OK, Francis, thank you very much indeed. Georgia's new president, Mikhail Kavalashvili, has been sworn in as hundreds of people again protested in the capital, Tbilisi. There have been nightly demonstrations against the result of the October election when the Georgian Dream Party, who some see as authoritarian and anti-European Union, claimed victory. The 4 main opposition parties say the vote was rigged. The current head of state is refusing to step down, but has agreed to leave the presidential palace. Travel disruption caused by fog is expected to continue today. Flights in and out of Gatwick are still being affected, although other airports are slowly returning to a normal service. There have been delays and cancellations at some of the country's busiest airports since Friday. The UK's Air Traffic Control Service says despite improving weather conditions, temporary restrictions will remain in place. Now, artificial intelligence is being used in more and more walks of life, including the justice system, where there are hopes that it could make the law less expensive and more accessible. A senior judge overseeing the use of AI in courts in England and Wales has predicted it could help to deliver swift and cheap justice to the most disadvantaged in society. Here's our legal correspondent, Dominic Casciani.
Every day in our courts, witnesses swear to tell the truth, and it takes a skilled barrister to pull at the threads of lies. That costs time and money. But is all that about to change thanks to artificial intelligence?
The caseworker will subsequently...
AI now helps advisors find the key legal points in their client's story that could help them win their case.
We can actually just spend a couple of minutes going through and redacting the client's personal information, and then ultimately upload it onto an AI model that can come back and give us all that information, and it'll usually shoot it back in about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So it will save us hours worth of time.
Big law firms are already using AI tools, but the judge overseeing guidance in the field says they could in fact benefit the poorest.
When people have claims which they can't resolve, it creates a huge economic loss to our society. And so we in the justice system really do want to find ways in which we can resolve people's problems more quickly and at lower cost. And so I think artificial intelligence in time will be one of those tools that we will use.
So how far could AI go? This is a demonstration of courtroom software. The tool listens to the witness. It then compares what they say to other evidence, and it aims to spot inconsistencies or lies quicker than a barrister could. So will my learned friends soon be all out of a job?
The truth is, the technologies we're looking at here will enable one lawyer or 2 lawyers to do the job of 10 or 20. It's going to massively change access to justice and massively reduce down legal costs.
Judges are backing AI but want strict controls. They want the courtroom focused on real people, with technology helping in a human drama. Dominic Casciani, BBC News.
And that's it from us for now. There is plenty more on our BBC News website, and the next news here on BBC One is at 6:35. Do have a very good afternoon.